Greetings, fellow Moto America fans. This is the American Superbike Show, and I am your host, Stitch Turner. You can connect with me on Blue Sky at Stitch-Turner or email at AmericanSuperbikeShow@gmail.com. I want to get those out of the way at the start because otherwise I will just forget. Today, we are going to begin our little class-by-class review, maybe a little bit of a preview of 2026, and we're going to start with Talent Cup. This is the first year for the class that was made up solely of Kramer APX 350 MA motorcycles. Previously, Moto America had awarded Junior Cup, and the rules allowed a variety of motorcycles to take place, but, they were eligible, but really it was pretty much just all Kawasaki Ninja 400s. Although I remember Ty Scott riding a KTM. Aiden Steed also had some success on the Yamaha R3, but we're not really here to talk about development classes of the past. After 1 year of a 3-year deal with Kramer Motorcycles, I believe I have to say that I generally approve of this new machine. I mean, at some rounds the chatter was nuts, like at COTA, but I mean, it was just year one. Racers are going to continue to develop this machine, and they're going to get a better understanding of how to set up and ride it over time. And this thing, as it is, it's designed to be from the outset to just be a stepping stone for young riders to show what they have on a national stage, and in that capacity, I think this bike has been an overwhelming success. I did have a little bit of fear when KTM entered bankruptcy as they manufactured motors and transmission units for this bike, but I mean, I think they've successfully emerged from reorganization, and so now that supply chain is once again safe. I believe. There were a few other mechanical issues that did happen from time to time throughout the season, but I mean, most of them were seemingly minor. The only real issue that I saw that kind of popped up repeatedly was, for some reason, these shifters. They just seemed to disassemble themselves right in mid-race. I remember it happened to Alessandro Di Mario at VIR. I believe it also happened to the reigning Mini Cup champion, Kenzie Matsudaira, when the championship made their second trip to COTA. But, I mean, that's something that could probably be fixed by just a simple safety wire requirement, and if that's even really necessary. Because let's be honest, it's race mechanics need a training ground as well, and everyone's human. I mean, mistakes happen. I know because I make them all the time. So, for 2025, Talent Cup kicked off their season with their first trip to COTA, and this time it was as a support race for MotoGP. I really appreciate that Live Plus was there to broadcast that action. I mean, it was the first of 2 occasions this year where Moto America sent a healthy contingent of people to a racetrack just to broadcast a Talent Cup race, even though it wasn't even a Moto America weekend. That tells me that the series is, really is truly and completely invested in the success of this class. That also shows the guarantee that, the 5 riders are going to get an invite to the Red Bull Rookies Cup selection event at the end of the year. So, I mean, with that in place, there's now a direct link from American racing, American motorcycle road racing, to the MotoGP world stage. And that's just a fantastic thing to have. And it is the kind of thing that will, drive a healthy participation in junior motorsports here in America. That sort of healthy participation from a young age is what makes what gives tougher competition overall, and that allows that iron to really sharpen iron for our talented riders to perform better at the world stage. So just sitting here and going race by race and reading off a season's worth of race results sounds absolutely boring, and I have no interest in doing that. So with that being said, we're just going to start with the inaugural champion, Alessandro Di Mario, and then go over the riders that were selected for the Red Bull Rookie Cup selection event in Spain. So Super Di Mario, he had a hell of a year. I remain to this day convinced that kid is not human because he continues to just be amazingly fast with levels of consistency that has just got to be from another planet. He won 7 out of the 12 races he participated in the season because he sat out the final round at New Jersey after he had the championship long wrapped up. He had 0 DNFs. The closest he came was that event at VIR when his shifter disassembled itself with multiple laps to go. And he still finished 4th in the frickin' race. This kid is just an alien. At first I was a little reluctant to see the reigning Swins Cup champion take what I kind of perceived as a ride in a lower class alongside his title defense. But, I mean, it didn't take long to realize that with Talent Cup opening their season as a MotoGP support race at COTA, he was going to immediately be receiving an opportunity that Twins just couldn't offer, and giving him a platform to show his talents on the world stage. Yeah, and you know what? I believe sooner or later he's going to be there. I don't know when or where exactly, but I just can't imagine he won't find a way to be on that stage someday on the big bikes. As for next season, Demario is going to be finding his way into the Supersport class. It's going to be aboard a Rahal Ducati Moto with Expel Ducati Panigale V2R along his new teammate Kayla Yakov. At any point during the season, I would have bet a paycheck that Demario was going to be riding a Ducati in Supersport next year, but I would have bet that money that it would have been for a Warhorse HSBK on a bike that was currently occupied by Cam Peterson this year in 2025. Especially because you can just see, when they showed him in the pit lane, Demario had developed what seemed to be a pretty good relationship with Mr. Faraci while riding for the team all year. I'm curious to find out how he ended up at Rahal instead. I don't know. I don't think it's like anything nefarious, but I just wonder what went into that decision process. Moving on to the Red Bull Rookies Cup participants, the one that finished with the highest in the championship was Henk Vosberg, and what a breakout season for this young man riding for the Tytler Cycle team. He got his first Moto America victory in the rain-soaked race 2 at Barber Motorsports Park, and he went on to win 4 more for a total of 5 victories on the year. This kid has everything he needs to develop to be a threat to riders like Demario at every track, and the one area that I definitely noticed where Vosberg consistently had an advantage already over Demario was in the wet. Hank backed up his 5 victories with 3 seconds and 1/3, making 9 podiums out of the full 14 race season. I think he should be back to do next year what Demario did this year, when both twins in Talent Cup. If he does, I don't see how you can't make this guy the championship favorite for both classes, just like Demario was when the season started. I know that Hank will turn 16 before the midway point of next year, and that would allow him to get out and try his hand at some super sport rounds, but I just don't see the need to rush that along. I'll make my prediction right now that if Hank Vosberg runs the full season of both Talent Cup and Twins Cup next year, he's going to be the champion in both classes. So, 2 Aussie kids occupied 3rd and 4th place spots in the championship. And aside from both being blonde kids from down under, the only other thing their seasons had in common was they were both the only other riders to score a victory this year in the Talent Cup class. Bodie Page got his first win at race 2 at COTA, and that was coming off a 2nd place finish earlier in the day to open the season. So when the championship left MotoGP weekend at Austin, Page was tied with Demario for the championship lead. While over the rest of the season, Bodie was able to put in impressive lap times and some qualifying performances, he lacked the consistency to remain a title contender. While he managed to finish on the podium for 7 of the 14 races, so like half the season, there were some zeros on his board, as well as some other finishes with single-digit points. Sam Drain, on the other hand, was a model of consistency for the Estenson Racing team. He got his first win of his Moto America career at Race 1 in Road America, and that was already his 4th podium out of 5 races at that point in the calendar. He finished with 9 podiums overall, and his worst finishes were only when he finished 6th, which happened twice. I hope that both Aussies are on track for the Talent Cup next season, pending selection in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, of course. Ella Dreyer was also selected for the Red Bull Rookies Cup event after finishing 5th in the Talent Cup Championship. This is the rider that, I feel she's just this close to figuring it all out. She doesn't consistently qualify well. And she also doesn't get the best start every time. But once the race gets going, she's just such a competitor. I'm a big fan of both the Dreyer kids. And while I'm already picking Vosberg to win seemingly whatever championship he decides to enter next season, I do fully think that we'll see a Dreyer back on top of the podium in Moto America's entry-level class next year. I'm going to mention Kenzie Matsudaira because he deserves it. The reigning Mini Cup champion, and I think he's passed 2 GP to 190 classes champions. Chips, whatever. If I could just speak some words out of my mouth. He came out towards the end of the season at COTA when they made their 2nd trip there, and he turned, because that was just the first race after he turned 14, which is the minimum age requirement for Talent Cup. And he gave us a preview of what's to come next year, I think. Unfortunately, his first race ended almost as soon as it started with another one of those shifters deciding to disassemble mid-race. But he came back on Sunday and put it on the podium, though. That was all that Kenzie participated in this year with the Moto America outside of the Mini Cup. But that was enough to get him a selection for the Red Bull Rookies Cup event in Spain. So the 5 that went this year to Spain for the 2-day selection process are Hank Vosberg, Sam Drain, Bodie Page, Ella Dreyer, and Kenzie Matsudaira. There was 112 riders overall that were invited from around the world, from 38 countries across the world for this selection event. And I know that all 7 of those riders made the first cut and were invited to come back for day 2. 7? Yeah, oh yeah, 7. Yeah, because added to that, added to those guys and gals we have already covered, we're going to add Mikey Lou Sanchez and Maddie Salem. Both have run in the predecessor to Talent Cup, which was called Junior Cup. And I don't really know what they were doing this year, besides not running Talent Cup. So I can't really cover much of the seasons. But I've watched them both race a bunch in the past, and I'm glad to see them doing well over there in Spain. Now that also I'm looking at this press release from Moto America, and I'm only just now noticing Sam Green's not listed in this article. Did he not go? Hope it wasn't because of injury or anything. That's weird. I'm Googling it now because listening to me try to do research in situ is dynamite podcasting. According to this article from mcnews.com.au, that came out a couple days ago, it says he should be there. No. It's probably not a press release or graphic that comes from Moto America if it does have some sort of errors on it. I say that with love because I know how there are good people there that are trying to do their best, and I just hope that with the continued growth of the series, it gives them the ability to improve these processes. All right. So they all made the finals for the Red Bull Rookies Cup selection event, but I don't know when Red Bull's going to release a roster of who was selected for the 2026 Red Bull Rookies Cup season. So I think I'm just going to wrap this episode up. It is the last day of the selection event, Thursday, October 8th, I believe. So, yeah, I'm not sure when those results will come out. I mean, obviously, if anyone gets selected, it probably means that their time in Talent Cup has come to an end, and I wish them all the best of luck if that's the case. If not, I really and truly look forward to hopefully seeing all these young warriors come back and compete for another season aboard these fantastic Kramer APX 350 MAs. Next episode, we will move on to Twins Cup. Yeah, why not Twins Cup? All right. Until next time.